Fundamentally, it's pretty simple. They shoot referees in Brazil.
Before Ron Foxcroft, whistles could fail. Yes, fail, and at the worst possible moment. KPMG and the following organizations that appreciate and applaud the value of entrepreneurs are pleased to present The Entrepreneurs.
Mike from Wilmington.
Mike who?
Michael Jordan.
And who's that guy down there with a whistle in his mouth?
That's a pretty youthful Canadian international referee, Ron Foxcroft, working that game, checking out Michael Jordan going for the basket. He went above the rim that night. Place was jammed.
In other words, the stakes were high. A future Hall of Famer in a tense game with an emotional crowd. The last place a referee would want his whistle to fail. In this episode of The Entrepreneurs, Ron Foxcroft, the man who revolutionized the whistle. He didn't just create a new whistle, he disrupted the entire industry. Before Ron Foxcroft, whistles could fail. Yes, fail, and at the worst possible moment.
The problem with the pea, that if you blow it hard, it goes to the roof of the whistle and gets stuck. Or if it gets cold or if it gets wet, it doesn't function. So if I got into a big crowd, obviously you had to blow the whistle hard. The harder you blew it, the worse it would get. The worse it would not operate because the little pea would go to the roof of the whistle and stick. And every time I got into an arena with a big crowd, I'd blow this darn whistle with the pea, it would get stuck. And then in 1984, I went to the pre-Olympics and refereed Brazil in Sao Paulo in front of 20,000 people, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 bongo bands. And I blew a foul. A Brazilian player got fouled. I blew the pea whistle. It didn't work. And there's a fundamental difference between a disappointed crowd at the Montreal Olympics and a disappointed crowd in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Fundamentally, it's pretty simple. They shoot referees in Brazil.
That's a problem worth solving. Ron fled the arena in Sao Paulo, determined to solve the clogged whistle issue.
I came home from Brazil and I said, this is the problem. A pea in the whistle. And I decided then we're going to change that. It was a hard sell in the beginning. Like I knew what the problem was, but then what do? I went to a injection molding place and I said, make me a pea-less whistle. He said, Ron, you need a design. It took 3.5 years trying to figure it out.
It didn't work. One design after another failed.
I actually quit. Yeah. In the third year of the design, I quit. It was costing money. I didn't have any money. We had just bought Fluke Transport with no money. And I decided to quit.
Well, he didn't quit, thanks in large part to smashing the phone down.
And I just mentioned, I said, you smashed the phone down pretty hard and it didn't break. What type of plastic are phones made out of? He goes, I don't know and I don't care. But I could tell persistence and dedication. As I was walking out of his office, I could hear him picking up the phone and he called Chuck and asked, what type of plastic are phones made out of? Well, wouldn't you know, the persistence and dedication, we tried it and it worked.
It worked, but now what? No marketing plan, no production budget, and he was deeply in debt.
We finally had it. I had 2 prototypes. I owed $150,000 and 2 prototypes. I went home to Marie and I said, Marie, I've got 2 prototypes. They're beautiful. They're black, they're ultrasonic, they're 120 decibels, and they're amazing. And she said, Ron, you're not too bright. We got 2 whistles and we owe $150,000. That's $75,000 a whistle. And then something happened. The phone rang and asked me to referee in the Pan American Games in Indianapolis. Well, I didn't have any money, so I drove. I checked into the dormitory where all the referees live because I was going there to referee basketball, but in the Pan Ams, there's other sports. I took my 2 whistles, my 2 $75,000 whistles, and I put them under my pillow. And one night in that dormitory at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I blew the whistle as loud as I could. All these referees came running, mostly, what a sight, in their underwear. And it woke them up. It was a beautiful sound to me because it was that 120 decibel shrill. So they said, wow, like they're refs. They knew a good whistle because they'd been using a pea whistle that doesn't work. Not everybody was mad. And I remember them saying, can we buy it? And I said, nope. They're on back order. It exploded. We had to hire people because now, you know, we needed salespeople, we needed graphic design people because we kept changing. It exploded. And by the same token, we're still focusing on running our trucking company. But the one consistent thing, we manufactured in Canada. And everybody said to me, Ron, you can save a lot of money by manufacturing offshore. No. I'm Canadian. I'm a proud Canadian. And the world loves Canadians. We are honest, reliable, sensitive leaders.
That begs the question, how did this Canadian startup grow to be a global sensation and stave off the competition?
We keep evolving the whistle, and we've come up with different brands of it. And through that, the whistles are used by lifeguards. Lifeguards count on our products. We listen to our customers. What else could we have done? They gave us product ideas, so we'll go and develop them. We've developed a whole marine line, safety line, fire extinguishers, safety throws for boats, baler kits, and then coaches as well. We have some great new coaching board products out there.
Those people that are using the whistles daily, it's their everything. Refs, it's their everything. Lifeguards love it. If you meet a lifeguard and they're like, I use a Fox 40, and it's the most exciting thing of their day, so they're really passionate about Fox 40 whistles.
It's all about the people. Ron instilled in me early that people were very important. Bringing good people into the company and empowering them to do their jobs was critically important.
2 successful businesses built by entrepreneur Ron Foxcroft and his teams. And to Ron's credit, he has extended his reach into the community by generously supporting organizations that work to improve the community he calls home.
I was so encouraged when he came on board, and in 10 months he helped us fundraise and bought a building outright. 10 months. I was hoping to get a down payment, but Ron was so committed to the city. He saw the needs of what we're doing. We bought this building, paid it off in 10 months, and he said, the reason why I did this, he said, you now can use the facility to rent out some of the different components and use those money to stabilize the organization and hire more staff to help. So his business concept helped me so much. And that was the initial stability, that's the foundation of Liberty for Youth, that we're not going anywhere. Not only did he help me financially, but the structures that he put in place and showed me how that was the core foundation that we needed.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a community organization that didn't consider Ron to be a tremendous champion of all things in our community and really coming to bear to help whenever he can roll up his sleeves and think about how do we make this the best place to live, work, and play.
Ron Foxcroft, a wonderful Canadian entrepreneur who built Fox 40 and Fluke Transport, employs hundreds of people, manufactures his products in Ontario, pays taxes, and supports his community in many ways. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss an episode of The Entrepreneurs.